Why can't we just create another country and call this particular country Black American country? I don't know if you guys are getting my point. Just imagine that Black Americans decide today that they are going to build their own country that will be called specifically Black Americans. Do you think that people will not go there? Do you think that me that is sitting here today, I will not run with speed, pack my families, my bag and baggages, and move or relocate to that particular country? Do you know why I'm saying this? Black Americans are not only fighters, but they are people that achieve things whenever they want to. Once they put their mind, they achieve it. These people are builders. These people are strong. These people have every single thing it takes to build a particular nation. I wish this dream can actually come true. Anyways, I'll go ahead and roll out the clips I have for you guys so that you guys can actually see the points I'm actually coming from. Before I say anything I want to say at the end part of this video, welcome back again to my channel. My name is Sonia. If this is the first time you're tuning in, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. This is just for educational purposes. I stand a chance to be corrected. This is not to bash anyone, right? I just love my Black American people, and I will not stop loving them, and I will keep loving them no matter what will happen, right? Anyways, credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we have in today's episode. Let's get right and watch who Black Americans are.
What if Black Americans became their own nation? I mean, hear me out before you clear me out. Check this. There's over 47 million Black people in America. That's more people than Canada, Australia, Greece, Portugal, and over 150 countries in the world. We could easily be our own nation. Like, let that sink in. Black America pulls in $1.8 trillion in annual spending power, and that number's still climbing. If we were a country, we'd rank among the top 20 economies in the world. Our GDP would outpace countries like Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, and Switzerland. And yet, we don't own what we consume. We make everyone else rich off our content, our trends, our talent, but we don't profit. If you look at pop culture, sports, fashion, tech, and entertainment as a vehicle, we the engine, but we don't own any of the vehicles. When it comes to music, hip-hop generates billions globally. We created that. The sports industry, dominated by Black talent. Fashion, our style, our swagger, our influence, the trends we set are copied worldwide. Tech and innovation, from hidden figures to modern coding culture, we've always been behind the scenes, yet none of the ownership is ours. We perform, they profit. We build, they bank. We create, they control. So ask yourself this: if we're really this powerful, this essential, this impactful, why are we still at the bottom? And I ask this question, not to everybody, this just to the racists who hate and can't stand Black people. If racism is so embedded, if Black people are the problem, if we're always the ones being blamed, why won't America just let us have our own land? Why wouldn't America just let us be? Because deep down, America knows it can't survive without Black people. They fear our independence because they profit off of our dependence. Letting us go would mean losing trillions in consumer spending, losing the culture engine that drives the nation, losing a massive piece of its labor force. It's not about love. We all know that. It's about control. It's about exploitation with a smile. You want to know why they can't pay reparations? It ain't just about money. It's about land, resources, and autonomy. When you look at the contributions that Black people have made to America, 246 years of unpaid labor, generational trauma, redlining, Jim Crow, stolen wealth, systemic policies that block advancement. If you're being real and honest about the history of this country, we are owed, and it's a massive debt. But reparations wouldn't even have to come out of any taxpayer pockets or anyone else's. Just leave Black people alone and watch the entire community prosper. Let Black people have their own. That's how you pay reparations. Let us start our own banks, our own schools, our own tech hubs. Let us build our own cities. Let us buy land and create self-sustaining economies. I'm not talking about seceding, so don't get your panties in a bunch. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about real opportunity. Because if 47 million Black people pulled their dollars, their talent, and their energy out of America's economy, Wall Street would crash and major industries would collapse. If there was complete Black unity, and Black Americans were allowed to build global alliances with Africa, the Caribbean, and even Asia, create a media empire that tells our story our way, establish military defense, tech innovation, and global trade routes, that's not just scary to America. It's revolutionary, and it's scary to the world. If we did ever unite, we wouldn't need America. America needs us, and they know that. Regardless of whether people want to admit it or not, it's a fact. We already have our own language that we speak, Ebonics. We have a shared history, a shared struggle, and a shared cultural identity. Black people are a nation of people in a country that was built by Blacks, but not for Blacks. We're a self-sustaining people that makes everyone billions but ourselves. Imagine if we put our money into shit that actually matters. Imagine if we ever did actually unite, stop buying into everyone else's systems, and started building our own.
233 independent nations on the earth. Out of the 233 independent nations, black people at $1.3 trillion are the 8th richest nation in the world. Yet, we don't have anything in our community that we can call our own. So by the simple fact that we're the 8th richest nation on the earth and we don't have our own educational system, don't feed ourselves, grow our own food, is a sign that we got dollars, but we need some sense. So I said we blame the white man for 95% of our problems, but we still spend 97% of our money with them. We do have $1.3 trillion in money. That's income though, and that's not wealth. So when the math is calculated, black people only possess less than 2% of the wealth of the United States of America. Income and wealth are two different concepts. Income is the money you earn by exchange of your time or the sale of a good product or service. But wealth is when you exchange that money for something that either keeps value or increases in value over time. Black people, we are the leaders in unnecessary spending. We buy stuff we don't need from people that we don't like to impress people we don't know. And at the end of the math of the equation, we end up having nothing but a whole bunch of name brand stuff, but never businesses that we can pass down to our children or real estate that increases or keeps its value over time. So we've got income, but we don't have the wealth. That's why I said we've got dollars, but we need some sense. Out of that $1.3 trillion, do you know that we spend $23 billion a year on clothes, $11 billion a year on furniture, $3.2 billion on keeping up with the latest cell phone that came out, $46 billion on cars, $60 billion on legal and illegal drugs, $32 billion dressing up the outside of our head. But when it comes to dressing up the inside of our mind, which is the purchase of books, only 300 million is purchased in books. My people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. So we should be investing more in the building up of the mind and building up of our character, getting the sense that we need to go with those dollars so that when we marry our wealth with some wisdom, we can actually leave something behind for our children and our children's children they can call.
This is why we should leave here and build our own country. Understand this. There actually have been many, and I mean many, moments in history where black people got together and built their own. The same exact thing happened through the whole timeline. White people's fixation on black people literally drove them to follow us and attack us constantly. So you want to know what would happen if black people did leave and build their own country? Haiti, they try to spin this narrative that Haiti was this horrible place struggling. You know who demolished Haiti? America and France. That's who messed up Haiti. Haiti is still paying their slave masters. People really don't understand. Black Americans bring billions of dollars in, billions. They physically need us to be here. That's why they don't want to pay reparations. That's why they don't want to pay folks to go back to Africa. They could have did this, but they physically need us to actually be here in order to leech off of black Americans.
Indigenous Black America, what's good? Yo, you know what makes us so strong as a people? We don't listen to people. We don't let people tell us who we are. We don't let people control us. We don't submit to nobody. We don't bow down to nobody. You feel me? And we do what we want to do. We've been doing it since the beginning. Since we stepped out of chains, we've been dominating and doing what we want to do, while everybody else has been doing what they can. Like Tupac said it the best. Real niggas do what they want to do, and bitch niggas do what they can. And that's the real. You know, that's the real. Every time we got a chance to thrive, we thrived. Now, this is a message to all the Native Americans out there. Not the $5 Indians, the one we're seeing now claiming to be Native American. I'm talking about the ones we used to see in school. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all still out there. We know that. You know, my thing is this, like, y'all are just as much indigenous as we are and vice versa. You know, why are we fighting? You want Whitey out of your land? We want our whole identity back. So, you know, we want Whitey out of the land. It's not going to happen. He's not going to go anywhere. At least why we're fighting with so-called Native Americans, because nobody's a Native American anymore. They have all the culture. They have all the language. The Native Americans are the $5 Indians. And we're talking about the ones who got on the Dawes Road. Now, the Native Americans I used to see on TV, they don't look like the Native Americans I see now running the reservations. They don't look like Native Americans at all. And I think you brothers and sisters know that. You get what I'm saying? We got to get back together like we used to do. You can see in the pictures, we used to be one. Fuck being this and that. Let's just be one. Like, you have an army of black people who have been proven to dominate and rise out of oppression. Why wouldn't you want to link that people to you? You think you're going to just rise up out of these reservations and then take back the land? Come on, you're living in a make-believe world. You think that you all got wiped out. You would rather identify with being wiped out to little to nothing. That the white man just whooped you, just smacked you up. threw you in a reservation? Or do you want to believe the people of Rhode Island, the people of the Cherokee Nation, and everybody else all got our identities wiped away? You know what I'm saying? Like, they saying Native Americans and these people all got together and wiped this away. But what they don't know is it really wasn't those Native Americans that you think. It was people on the Dawes Roll, and white people have been infiltrating these Native American communities since the 1700s. Okay. So you can go look at the Ross and the Vans and the Rosses. Those are not Native Americans. Okay. And their families still exist, and they're still running a lot of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know when the last time I've seen, the type of, I can't even say Native Americans, because to me, Native Americans is the $5 Indians. But the ones in the school books, the ones we used to see that was Native American, I don't see them anymore. And they still exist, because I just seen a couple pictures, and I looked, and they starting to look like the Native Americans I remember when I was little. But y'all got to stop telling us we ain't this and we ain't that. You know what I'm saying? Because all you're doing is just making yourself weak. Because we don't care. That's the thing. You don't understand. Black people in America, we don't give a fuck what y'all say. If we say we this and we identify as that, then that's what we're going to do. Who's going to stop 44 million people? Who's going to stop us? None of you are going to stop us from being who we want to be. So why fight with someone who has the same enemy as you? We have been divided and then conquered, but we only been conquered mentally. As far as us being one people, I'm not asking you, I'm not begging you. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be smart for people on the reservations and all the Native Americans around the world who don't look like Europeans to unite with the Black Americans and say, hey, forget everything else. We are the indigenous Americans, period. We are the remnants of that. Fuck everything else. And why is it that you think we're not indigenous Americans? Huh? When everybody around every other island looks like us and only a few people look like you. Because you're a mixture. You know what I'm saying? Because we mixed with Asiatic people, right? And that's what you look like. A mixture of Black people and Siberian people, right? Siberian people were Black too. Until the Russians had their way with them for 198 years. Of course you're going to look like a European. Now you're going to look at them now. They look like Chinese people. Fair skin. But if you go in certain parts of China, they don't even look fair skin. A lot of them use creams and lightening their skin, but most people on Earth are brown skin. I mean, if you go look at the people of Fiji, you go look at all the Solomon Islands, they look like how we used to look still to this day. They got Asian looks and they got Black looks, and some of them got in between looks. Like, we are one people. And until y'all get that together, we're going to be fighting for our identity, and y'all going to be fighting for your land back. It's never going to happen until we say, fuck it. All right, fuck it. Let's just accept each other. We both got the same enemy. So why are we even arguing over who's indigenous, who's Native American, other than the $5 Indians that we know is Caucasians, that we know for sure? You got Sarah wearing feathers and Karen wearing feathers, and we know that's Sarah and Karen and Todd. But you accept them on your reservations. Then you say, oh, well, DNA, it doesn't matter about your DNA. That's stupid. That's stupid. That's stupid. Y'all going to have to wake up, man, because if not, we're going to surpass you. We have already surpassed you. How is it that a people coming out of slavery with no knowledge of anything, we're supposed to be straight from Africa, right? But we're making medicines, doing heart transplants. We're doing everything that the people on this continent was doing before the colonizers came over here. Making medicines, all that stuff. Healing people, creating new inventions. All that stuff belongs to indigenous Americans. And there's no certain look. That's what y'all got to feel like. Y'all got to realize that there's no certain look that you can just lock in and say, okay, this is this. Because Black people look like Chinese, or Chinese look like Black people, you know what I'm saying? And Black people, we got straight hair, wavy hair, kinky hair. This is what makes us Black, melanin. Now, yes, the majority of the people around these islands, they look like us, right? But people come from Asia, they look more Asiatic. And we have been mixing together for a long time. And probably only a small few people sold us out. Sold us all out. You can't just throw that on people that, look Asian. Every Native American didn't sell us out. And every Black American, didn't fight. You gotta think, man, we've been sold out on both sides by both phenotypes. When you go look at the people of The Arawaks, there's two kind of people, the ones that look like African Americans and the ones that look like Asians. We have been mixing, we have been one people forever. It's only one person that came and divided us. Now you got these people who are a mixture of the black mixed with the Asian mixed. You know what they call them? Zambo with a Z. Then they turned it to Sambo. Go look at a Zambo and a Sambo and see how it derived from Native American and black mix. But they like to throw that word African when they say black. So you have to throw that word away because we're not from Africa and we're not Africans. So an Asiatic person that looks Asian and a black person that looks African, when they mix together, they call them Sambos and Zambos, starting with a Z. Then they changed it to Sambo. Go look it up. Peace.
America, we're tired of living like this. We're tired of suffering like this. We can build a nation of our own. So we've gone to the judge. And the judge is not some cracker sitting up in a courtroom. The judge is God himself. And we helped you get everything you got. Oh, by the way, you love the flag? The first person to die for your freedom was a black man named Crispus Attucks in Boston, Massachusetts. We've been involved in all your wars for your freedom. We ain't got it yet. We still singing, we shall overcome. Well, that song is ended, and the melody ain't even lingering on. We're tired of injustice. We want to separate. We want a nation of our own, and we want a good send-off, because everything you got, we helped you to get it. You got it on our backs. For 310 years of slavery, we picking the cotton, we're baling the cotton, you using the cotton, turning it into Linton cloth, and your brothers in the North were masters of the needle trades. You sent the cotton all the way to England. England became rich. The Rothschilds became rich. All of you became rich on us.
Will black people ever be able to be self-sufficient or independent? This question is obviously racist, but I will answer it as if it was asked in good faith. First of all, before emancipation, black people created the necessary infrastructure for their independence and self-sufficiency. In the year 1738, the first free black town was established in Mosey, Florida, which means that there was a free black town before there was a United States of America. The first black-owned media company, a newspaper, was established in 1827. All of this was before emancipation. Black towns and neighborhoods saved and circulated millions of dollars within their communities, like the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, North Nashville in Tennessee, Sweet Auburn in Atlanta, and countless others. There is a list way too long to fit into this video. And do you know what happened to those thriving, independent, self-sufficient communities? They were attacked by white folks. They were bombed. They were raided. They were terrorized. They were demolished. These independent, self-sufficient black communities were fine and had existed for a very long time. The real question is, will whiteness ever be able to be self-sufficient and independent without black oppression?
You ever heard of a black town called Nicodemus, Kansas? I know I didn't. Let's get into it. Nicodemus, Kansas, a town that's still standing today as a symbol of freedom and resilience. So let me tell you why this story definitely matters. So picture this, after the Civil War, right? During like the Reconstruction stages where freedom was definitely promised, but it did not talk about or show that there was going to be safety or opportunities for black people. Remember I was talking about that sad story yesterday and reminded y'all that things were happening in Alabama? Well, things are happening in Kansas too. Like people are not sitting down and waiting to find out. They are doing something. You're not going to help me, I'm going to help myself. Especially those who were formerly enslaved families. They were still stuck in the South facing like sharecropping, poverty, brutal violence. But instead of waiting for change, you know how black people are, some of them created their own way. In 1877, inspired by the biblical story of Exodus. Yeah. A group of black families packed up everything, y'all, everything that they had and left and went to Kansas. Raise your hand if you ever heard a story where people can just pack up and just move. It was always heard about us fleeing and leaving with just the clothes on our back and a little bit of food. Never did. This was the so-called promised land. They became known as the Exodusters. Never heard of it? Nicodemus was founded in the same year by 6 black men, including a man named William R. Hill. They invited black families to settle there, offering them a chance to live free from the terror of the South. I can just imagine it. Like they like, the hell with this. I'm going to Kansas. We about to create our own shit. Yes. Yes. But life wasn't easy. When they first settled, they found nothing but open prairies, right? No trees, no houses, nothing but endless grass. So imagine stepping off of a wagon with your family, knowing it was up to you to build everything from scratch. With your own bare hands. They've been doing this for years. And build they did. They talk about us being lazy. Yes. And that laziness always gets to me. It's like, fool, we were building. We were what? Electricians, plumbers, we were carpenters, we were farmers. What are you talking about, lazy? Out there in that sun. Let me see you stand out in the sun with no sunscreen, because they didn't have sunscreen then. They sure had cancer though. And build they did. Nicodemus became a thriving community. They had homes, churches, schools, businesses. This is plural. It was more than just a town. It was proof that Black people could govern themselves, educate their children, and create thriving economies, even in the face of systemic racism. For a while, Nicodemus did flourish, right? As a beacon of hope for Black Americans across the country. I would have said if I didn't know about it, that if they did it in the past, we can do it again, but it's already being done. There are Black communities being built. There are Black people buying up land in the South, creating Black communities. I can't wait till one is done because I'm definitely going to go visit. But that dream wasn't without struggles, right? The harsh Kansas winters and poor crops definitely tested the settlers, right? Especially when the railroads came. They built a railroad through other towns. Nicodemus, they bypassed, cutting it off from the trade routes. So many families were forced to leave in search for better opportunities. So that's that fear coming back in because they know that town was thriving. You hear me? So they were like, how can we best hurt this town to make them disperse so they won't be strong as a unit? We'll build around them. We'll build this railroad around them so they can't get shit. See? Hate, fear, and by that, the population of that town dwindled. So why should you care about Nicodemus today? You know, me, it's because it's a Black history that's been hidden. I have no clue about this place until now. It showed resilience, and it's a reminder of strength that it took to carve out a future when the world had tried to erase you. The world, yes. Nicodemus is still standing, recognized as a national historic site. Still don't know about it in its history being made. The only remaining Black settlement west of Mississippi from that era. So what does Nicodemus teach us about self-reliance, especially about community? Like, how does this story inspire us to reclaim and celebrate our history? So let's talk about it in the comments, because these are the stories that show us who we really are. These are the things that they don't want us to know. I told y'all, if we get together, we can do anything. I want you to look up Nicodemus, Kansas. Learn about the Exodusters and how they built their freedom. Like, share the story with someone like me who's never heard of it. And if you visited Nicodemus or learned something surprising about it, please drop it in the comments. I am always going to be curious. So let's keep this story alive. Black history and hidden Black history isn't just about pain. It's about power, it's about resilience, and the determination to thrive. Nicodemus is proof of that. So let's keep uncovering these hidden gems together. All right? I want y'all to stay curious and definitely drop those comments. I want to hear from you.
Could not live beside them. I don't feel that they should be oppressed. But I moved here. One of the main reasons was because it was a white community. And that's the only place I intend to live. If I have to leave Levittown, I will do so.
Personally, my home life, it has an effect nothing whatsoever. But on the neighbors, they have a right. Because the average white person living in Levittown has 4 and 5 children. Well, let's put it this way. If the Levittown is migrated in hordes of Negroes, which they have a right to come here, but if something that happens that way, pretty soon my neighbor will be having a Negro son-in-law or a daughter-in-law.
Now, that was the 1950s, Levittown, Pennsylvania. This country will have us believe that that was so far in the past that those people just disappeared. Now, a lot of folks say it's more about class and less about race, but we see an example right there that in 1957, even if you had enough class status to be able to live in the neighborhood with those folks in Levittown, they didn't believe you was worthy enough regardless of your job. I just could not live by them. I don't think they should be oppressed, but I can't live by them. That sounds like a lot of good liberals and conservatives of today's time. The same speaking points. Think about it though. The suburbs of today was created back then in the 1950s, 1960s. There's a distribution of wealth and knowledge that's been passed from generation to generation to generation that still impacts how we live today. And to be clear, it wasn't that many generations ago. My grandmother was born in the 1950s. And her mother, the person that birthed her, was born in the 1930s. Not that far ago. A lot of folks that run the system right now was raised in times and by people like her right there. In conclusion, when we talk about white flight or gentrification or redlining, it's important to acknowledge that it's not just by policy, but also ideology. You see what I'm saying?
What's so hard about understanding that Black Americans have over 400 years of history and culture? What is so difficult in conceptualizing that? We was literally the backbone of and built a new country by force. Like, America would not be what it was and what it is today without Black Americans. 400 years of history, of culture, of families, of generations. What makes you think we're lost at all and don't have any connection to any roots? Right? And like, let's not talk about like lineages to Africa for a second, because we could talk about that all day long. We could never know where our people were from in Africa, and we would still have roots. I don't know why that's so difficult to conceptualize. And actually, you know what? There's always so much talk about Black Americans needing to be proud and have pride in our origin in Africa. And I agree with y'all. I've been to the continent, one country, Senegal, and I felt so much pride and connection. And I agree so much, and I have so much connection that the rest of y'all should have pride in Black Americans too. Where's your pride in Black Americans as not being Black Americans? Our ancestors was your ancestors' cousins. They were family, baby, and they brought and cultivated an entire culture while surviving bondage, a thriving culture, mind you. A culture that we love, talking about having a lot of origins in Africa. Okay, so if we're so connected, right? Have pride in the culture that we built here. Have pride in the culture that literally is the backbone of an entire country. Not just America, but the entire Western Hemisphere due to forced labor. They still brought culture that thrived in North America, the Caribbean, and Latin America, and South America. Have pride in us the same way that we should have pride in our origins elsewhere, okay? We're not lost. We have roots. We have culture. We have history.
It's so weird watching black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities. It's like, you know how happy we'd be to see black people start a functioning black community?
Like we would burn it down, right? Was that what you was about to say? Because that is the only thing that has ever happened in American history.
Sir, you don't understand. You're helping all Americans by taking all the racist people and moving them into one area. I may help you pack your bags and rent a moving truck for you. I may donate to your cause so we can get this thing rolling. We need y'all all to be in the same area so we know who exactly you people are.
I challenge any European American to name me one, just one, in 300 years, name me one time black people have built an all-black everything, right? A thriving community, a thriving functioning system, right? And white people have not destroyed it. Any group, any community, any town has been destroyed, burned down to the ground by European Americans. What's extremely disheartening from European Americans is in the year of 2025, they then say, oh, why aren't black people building functioning towns? You blew them all up. You think if you keep blowing up, bombing, and burning down every town that black people build, that we're just going to keep building more and more and more? You force black people to assimilate into American culture, then point the finger and say, why aren't you doing this? Your analogy is the same as burning down somebody's house, coming back the next day and say, hey, you know you're homeless, right?
In the black community, because the one we have now is broken, and I honestly don't think it can be fixed. The amount of black Christians, Hebrew Israelites, and black Muslims in my comment section unprovoked using both the Bible and the Quran to justify 400 plus years of systemic dehumanization, raping of women, unaliving of children, and torture under the guise of God both pisses me off and makes me sad. There is literally nothing in this world or beyond it that could ever justify that kind of treatment to any human being, let alone that coming from a divine being that's supposed to be love. This makes me realize that the unity we think we have is actually just generational trauma bonding masquerading as community, especially since we clearly have generations of bloodline who've never mentally left the plantation. They've just evolved from yes a master to yes a pastor. Clever, I know, but it ain't laying like I wanted it to. From field clothes to pew clothes, overseers to deacons, still asking for permission to be free, still calling obedience salvation, still afraid of their own power unless it's given a biblical name. We've built an entire belief system around pain, confused suffering with spirituality, and we've been in survival mode for so long that we forgot how to actually live. And now we fight each other more than we fight the system. We still debate who's closer to God while still healing from the gods that was forced on us. We scapegoat queerness, feminism, and Africa itself, but never seem to question the slave master's religion that's still sitting in the center of our psyche. Y'all rather identify as a Hebrew Israelite than an African. It's not lost on me that everybody not from Africa, so don't do that. However, the Sinai Peninsula that literally connects Israel to Egypt is located in Northeast Africa. The term Middle East wasn't coined until 1902 by Alfred Mahan, a European. He couldn't handle the cradle of civilization in the Holy Land being rooted in Africa, so they made up a name. When people like me call out the lies and the contradictions, somehow we're the enemy. But what y'all fail to understand is that we don't just want community. We want community, accountability, and liberation, which includes those religions. And there's just far too many of y'all having circular arguments trying to justify white supremacy and patriarchy. And yeah, we may need a new black community.
Washington believed that black people should be self-sufficient. Instead of going out and fighting and antagonizing white people to change Jim Crow, desegregate, fight for our civil rights, he said we need to come together and do our own thing. We need to build up our communities. We need to learn trade, skill, and labor. We need to build businesses. We need to do all of these things. And then once that time happens, they're going to want to give you your civil rights because they're going to want to be a part of what it is that you're doing. And that wasn't good enough for a lot of black people like W.E. Du Bois who said, well, you're just sitting down and you're just allowing them to put you in a box without going for what is truly yours, which is civil rights. The things that we've talked about on this podcast, it is 100% with the things that Booker T. Washington was saying. Now remember, Marcus Garvey came to America to go meet with Booker T. Washington. Mm-hmm. What Elijah Muhammad did with NOI came off of what Booker T. Washington had already established. Being self-sufficient, growing your own stuff, building your own businesses, building your own schools, which he did with Tuskegee. Like, these are the type of things that we talk about, like building that economic wealth, that generational wealth is the things that the people that we glorify in Black history did, what Black Wall Street did, what the Black Panthers did, what the Nation of Islam did. These are all things that are important that we talk about today that Booker T. Washington was.
And I also could say that it was a response to the contract with white America. Mm-hmm. And to tell black folk that that contract is not new, that it was first issued in 1638 by the Maryland colony. Mm-hmm. And nothing has changed. and that black folk are still fighting for self-sufficiency and competitiveness in this country, and that we must come together quickly or what risk being a permanent underclass in the society.
One of the alarming predictions you make in the book is along those lines. You mentioned that blacks will be pretty much a permanent underclass in America by the year 2015. Why the year 2015?
2015 because what I've concluded from analysis is that there are going to be a converging of social factors nationally and internationally that's going to place blacks in a permanent status of underclassship. And one, we anticipate by that point in time, based on all the research that's coming to us, that the next generation of whites are going to be more anti-black than they've been since the civil rights movement. Two, we anticipate by the same token about 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and about 41 million Asians by that point in time, which is going to kick black folk out of being the minority in the society down to minority. We've been number 2 in the society for 400 years as a group. We're going to become number 4. And if we have not gotten anything after being number 2 for 400 years, you guess what's going to happen when we become number 4. Because at that point in time, all the new groups coming into America, they're coming in higher than we are because this country operates off of a preferential acceptance program, which means that groups are coming in based on skin color. They're going from the lightest down to the darkest. Light, yellow, brown, black. And that's what our immigration laws are based on. And black folk will not be able to penetrate through those groups to get to the white society when that happens because those groups owe us nothing. They don't understand our problems and they are competitive with us, and we don't begin to be a little more aggressive about being in a competitive posture. They're going to eat our lunches.
One of the things that I should mention right here is the fact that the book is filled with tables, graphs, charts, and the historical accounts of how such discrimination, prejudice, and racism, economically, politically, and socially, were engineered into our system, literally codified as a way blacks would be treated in this country. So that when we hear you talking about blacks becoming a permanent underclass, or we hear you talking about the inherent racism in the immigration system in the United States, you're not talking off the top of your head, are you?
No. See, the first immigration law was put in place immediately after the Revolutionary War in 1790, which declared this was to be a white country, and there was a zero quota placed on black folk. That zero quota stayed in place until about 1965. Based on the 1880 immigration laws, it moved up a slight bit, less than 0.5%, and to allow more blacks to come in. But in starting in 1965, it went up to 0.5%. That's why blacks are in a minority class in this country. That's why you cannot get Haitians into the country, because the larger societies are extremely fearful of blacks getting a numerical dominance. And they build a quota system into the country, even in our immigration process, and into our to make sure that black folk do not constitute a threat.
Hey, black people are not scared nor worried. We are prepared because we've lived this experience the entirety of the inception of this country. So just because you are starting to notice and getting scared doesn't mean we are required to be. We quite literally know how to survive through these things, and we've been telling you the exact same things forever, but we have gotten ignored because we're always on the totem pole as far as society goes. So black people are not mobilizing because of any other reason other than we already knew this was going to happen, and therefore we are already doing what we always do, which is be resilient and do dope stuff anyway. I think the rest of the world, so white women in America, Latinos in America, and anyone else who decides that they need to see more black action, first remember, we already know how to go through this, and we have, and we literally will. Even if a Democrat comes into office, we're probably still going to have to deal with the racism and microaggressions of everyday life, because it's true. You may not. That's also real. So remember, you are not as informed on this type of scenario of extreme prejudice as any black person, and therefore do not get to tell us how to act about it. You go ahead and put your boots on and start walking around. We'll jump in when it looks like you really, really mean it. How about that? That's how it's going to happen. I'm just telling you. Black people are very aware. Like, no matter how good the world is for white women, I still have to worry about getting pulled over by the police and just threatened for no other reason. That's literally my life every day and every other black person's. This is the thing. It's just true. Systemic racism existed this entire time while you were sitting there thinking everything was peaches and rainbows. So now that it's all falling apart, why would you expect the people who are already living under the BS to come to your aid again? Please.
So now we've gotten rid of Coke and Pepsi, lower risk of diabetes and cancer, eggs too high, low cholesterol, price of groceries are high, skinny. We're not shopping at Target, saving money. And now there's a looming threat of segregation. This can't be. This can't be. You are threatening us to start to really, really, really support each other. You are threatening for us to take these seasonings back. There is nothing that Trump can threaten our communities with that we have not already gone through. See, that's what he failed to understand. We've already gone through the worst. So what he's trying to do is use fear against us. So let me ask you this. What is there to fear? What is there to fear? We have educators. We got doctors. We have engineers. We have creators. We have cooks. We have business owners. We have people in cancer research. What? We have brilliant minds in our community. What is there to fear? We're not living in times where we don't know how to read. We have bankers, investment bankers, some of the best. What is there to fear? And let's not neglect the fact that we have farmers and we learning how to garden. This man better stop playing. You can scrub our names off of the websites. We'll be okay. We know our history. And we don't have a problem teaching our kids our past and our history. We will not allow it to be forgotten because we will not allow it to be repeated. Yeah, we're going to pass the information along for hundreds of generations to come. Take the books out of the school. We don't care. We're going to still pass this information along.
Despite the fact that my people aren't getting eaten, beaten, and tortured anymore, slavery has never ended. They've just gotten us to a point where we turn on ourselves so we do the heavy lifting and they don't have to. I want you to understand that the best way to hide something is to put it in plain sight. Let's do a mini history lesson for a second. Slavery ended in 1865, which is when black codes were designed. Black codes were laws specifically designed to govern black people. But we free though, y'all, We just don't have the right to own any land, own any properties, or conduct any businesses. So when those laws came to an end, I'll say the early 70s, that's when the Jim Crow laws came into place, which were to segregate the blacks and the whites. We free though, but I don't want to sit by y'all, eat by y'all, work with y'all. I don't even want to breathe the same air that y'all fucking breathe. Yuck. So when the Jim Crow laws came to an end around the mid-1900s, that's when redlining came into play. That's when I'm finna use all these laws to push y'all into these specific neighborhoods, which we would consider the projects. And in these projects, I'm not finna allow y'all to get a job to where you can afford to go anywhere else. I'm not finna give you no loans to where you can go stay where the nice people stay because it's in the laws. I can't even give y'all no law. I can't give y'all no shit because I'm gonna lose my job if I give y'all any type of loan. You can't get that. I'm gonna beat your ass if you look at me wrong, but no matter what, y'all are free. Slavery ended, just go be happy. So now that y'all have these neighborhoods, I'm gonna use structural racism to pollute those neighborhoods. Despite the fact that I'm going to dump drugs and guns into your neighborhood so that you all kill each other off, I am going to put food chains in there so that y'all slowly kill yourself. I'm going to put liquor stores over there. I'm going to put check cashing places in there. Give me all your money. Spend your money and spend it fast. I'm not going to put any good grocery stores over there. I'm just going to put all this bad stuff in your neighborhoods so that you all slowly kill yourselves. Now that I've gotten you all right where I want you, I'm going to use gentrification because now I'm taking back that neighborhood. I'm going to put all the good stuff over there. I'm going to put the good grocery stores and the yoga places and all this good stuff so that the property tax raises. And now you all can't afford to stay there anymore, silly. I don't care about the communities that you've made for yourselves. I'm taking this back and now it is mine. So I'm going to give you a lump sum that's not even worth what your house is worth, but you have no choice to move. So now you're going to go where you can afford to go, which is what we would now consider the ghetto. And in these ghettos, I'm going to over police that ghetto neighborhood so that we get higher arrest records. Silly? Like, what do you mean? And please don't get me started on the school to prison pipeline. But enough of our history lesson. Let's talk about today. It's in our music. I'm just going to force all of the women to dress half naked, and I'm going to tell them to talk about how men ain't shit. And for the men, I'm just going to force them to rap about killing each other and how I need 10 girlfriends. One girlfriend is not enough. It's in our cinema. I'm just going to show you all BDs and BMs. Everybody's cheating and beating on each other. And if I do ever show you a two-parent household, somebody got to be cheating on each other. And please do not get me started on our judicial system, who has so many crooked judges in there who get paid to give our people higher sentences. The cherry on top, I'm going to, if not encourage, but I'm going to enable cops to go mess with our people, kill our people, plant drugs on our people, etc., etc. Why wouldn't I do that? They're not going to know, silly. But that don't matter though, because y'all is free. Y'all have y'all freedom. Like, y'all can do what y'all want to do. Like, slavery ended. Okay, be happy. Cool. Instead of physically fucking them over, like they're going to catch on to that, I'm just going to do it mentally and psychologically. You get what I'm saying? I'm just going to turn them against each other. I'm going to kill their whole belief system on two-parent households, marriage, loyalty, unity, anything like that. I'm going to kill that. Let's squash that. And I'm going to turn them against each other to where they think black on black crime is actually a thing. They're just going to slowly kill each other off and we don't have to do anything.
If black Americans today decide that they are going to be building their own country, I will go. I will support with my full chest without saying no. I will say yes, go ahead. Enough is enough. But will they even allow that to happen? Will they even allow it to happen? No, they will not. Why? Why do you think they will not allow it to happen? Because every single damn thing that they owe belongs to the blacks. So they will not allow it to happen. But just imagine them creating their own community, their own country. Just imagine what life will be in the US. That is why no matter how they are, what's this memo? Sorry guys. That is why no matter how they are trying to make it look like the both people are blend. Whatsoever they are doing it for the good of both the left and the right. It is still not showing forward. It is still showing the reality of this is what you people are. How I wish. Black Americans, please, we need to start reasoning these things, right? We need to start looking for a way that people can build your own country, because I need to come to that country. Because I know with my full chest that any single country that you people will build, honestly, it will benefit a lot of people. It will benefit a lot of people. That is why at the end of the day, let's try it. Let's try it. And give you people just 1 year of freedom, 1 year of reparation, 1 year of you, the so-called Black Americans, show forth your talent, show forth what you have. And let's see if you guys cannot manifest. Because the Black Americans that I know, they are builders. They are conquerors. They are people that when they put their mind into doing something, they will do that thing without any hesitation. And anyways, I just want to go to my ChatGPT to just ask 1 or 2 questions that I would also like you people to also hear. And let me see if truly Black Americans can actually build their own, or they cannot build their own, or would they be successful, will they fail, and so on and so forth. I just want to know. And you know, anytime you're trying to like bring up this ChatGPT, it just keep loading and loading and loading. So let's type. If Black Americans decide today that they want to actually build their nation, will Black Americans be successful or not? Let's wait. Wow. It's still loading, guys. It's still loading. Just calm down.
That's a powerful what-if question. Let's break it down clearly. If Black Americans decided today that they wanted to build their own independent nation, success would depend on several factors. 1. Population and human capital. Black Americans make up about 13 to 14% of the US population, over 40 million people. That's already a significant population base, larger than many independent nations. For example, Canada started with fewer people. They also have deep cultural influence, creativity, and resilience that could power a new nation. 2. Economic power. Black Americans contribute trillions of dollars annually to the US economy. If that wealth were redirected inward toward Black-owned banks, businesses, industries, it could serve as the economic backbone of a nation. The challenge would be transforming consumer spending into long-term ownership, production, and infrastructure. 3. Land and resources. One of the biggest hurdles would be territory. Where would this nation be located? Inside the US? That would bring political, military, and legal battles. Or somewhere else, like Africa, through partnerships with countries offering land for a diaspora homeland. Land equals resources, and without control of natural resources, oil, minerals, fertile soil, economic independence would be hard. 4. Unity and vision. Success would require unified leadership and a clear shared vision. Historically, divisions, class, politics, religion, ideology have made large-scale Black unity difficult. But movements like Pan-Africanism, Black Wall Street, and civil rights show that unity is possible when the goal is strong enough. 5. Global relations. Any new nation must deal with international politics, trade, and defense. Success would depend on forming alliances with African nations, Caribbean states, and other supportive countries. Without allies, a new Black nation might be vulnerable to economic or military pressure from larger powers. 6. Historical lessons. Past efforts, e.g. Liberia, Haiti, Tulsa's Black Wall Street, show both the possibility and the obstacles. Haiti succeeded in independence but was crushed economically by global powers. Tulsa thrived until destroyed by violence and systemic racism. The lesson: success requires not just building, but also protection and sustainability. In short, Black Americans could be successful in building their own nation because they already have the population, culture, and economic power to do so. But the challenges, land, unity, political resistance, global pressure, would be enormous. Success would take generations of planning, massive sacrifice, and unshakable unity. Would you like me to give you a step-by...
The most important thing that I want to get from there is, yes, they can actually do it. But we know that most of the disadvantages, they will not allow them do it because they want to be in charge of Black Americans. Like, follow, share, and let me know what your thoughts is in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this channel because we try our possible best to bring out some real gist, in fact, for you to be able to digest on. Anyways, credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches you have in today's episode. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I'm going to be Simba and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye for now. I love you.